Hello everyone, my name is Katariya and today's my topic of presentation is Ngugi Thiong'o's portrayal of the proletarianization of the Kenyan masses. In this presentation, I would focus on how Ngugi Thiong'o is trying to observe and depict the operation and the neo-colonized uh, proletarianization of Kenyan citizen through his novel Petals of Blood. This is my personal information. Table of content. In this presentation, I would talk about the author, about the novel, and Mau Mau Rebellion, then proletarianization, and the character of Abdullah and Wanja as a symbol. I would talk about this proletarianization and then conclusion. About the author, Ngugi wa Thiong'o was born in 1938 in Kenya into a large peasant family. He is a renowned Kenyan writer, novelist, playwright, and academic. Some of his notable works includes the novels "Weep Not Child," "The River Between," "Grain of Wheat," "Petals of Blood," and "Wizard of the Crow." He was a central figure in the push to decolonize African literature and champion the use of African languages in writing. For his activism and criticism of the Kenyan government, he was imprisoned in 1977 and later forced into exile from 1982 to 2004. He has taught at various prestigious universities, including the University of Nairobi, Northwestern University, Yale University, New York University, and currently holds a position at the University of California, Irvine. Ngugi has received numerous honors and awards, including the Nonino International Prize for Literature and 11 honorary doctorates from universities around the world. He is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Letters and the American Academy of Arts and Science. About the novel, Petals of Blood is a novel written by Ngugi wa Thiong'o and first published in 1977. Set in Kenya just after independence, the story follows four main characters: Muniro, Abdullah, Wanja, and Karega, whose lives are intertwined due to the Mau Mau rebellion. In order to escape city life, each retreats to the small pastoral village of Ilmore. As the novel process, the character deals with persecution of the Mau Mau rebellion as well as with new rapidly westernized Kenya. The novel largely deals with skepticism of change after Kenya's independence from colonial rule. It also deals with other themes, including the challenges of capitalism, politics, and the effects of westernization. Education, schools, and Mau Mau rebellion are also used to unite the characters who shares a common history with one another. The Mau Mau rebellion. It was the Mau Mau rebellion was from 1952 to 1960. The colony of Kenya was gripped by turmoil and bloodshed as Britain struggled to maintain its hold on the African colonies. Various tribal factions, known collectively as the Mau Mau, launched a guerrilla campaign against their European oppressors. The cause of that was after the First World War, the ex-soldiers were given the lands that was very little and remained for the farmers of Kenya. And by that, the Kenyan farmers and citizens were against that, and they started the protest and create organizations such as East African Association and the Kenya African Unions and they tried to protest this operation by European oppressors. Through the Mau Mau rebellion, atrocities were committed by both the sides as they used the violence against each other. British war crimes and abuses were legion. People were executed in villages and concentration camps were set up in which conditions were appalling. Violence was rife. Detainees were denied access to medical aids and women were regularly raped. By the 1955, the detention through the detention camps, they tried to get hold into this rebellion, and many detainees confessed and gave information on the fellow Mau Mau rebellions. The official death toll among the Mau Mau is reported to be 11,503. This figure is, however, most certainly wrong, and the real death toll is tough to be thought to be much higher. In the contrast, a total of 32 white Europeans are claimed to have been killed by the Mau Mau. And this Mau Mau rebellion ended in around 1960 and was technically a failure. But after the rebellion, Kenya got its independence. Proletarianization. This term is originated in Karl Marx's theory of capitalism, articulated in his book Capital, Volume 1, and initially refers to the process of creating a class of workers, the proletariat, who sold their labor to factories and business owners, who Marx refers to as the bourgeois or the owner of the means of production. According to Marx and Engels, as they described in the manifesto of the Communist Party, the creation of the proletariat was a necessary part of the transition from the feudal to capitalist economy and social system. In recent decades, if we try to exemplify this in this more recent times in this time, then we can say that China, India, and Brazil, like countries has been proletarized as the globalization of capitalism pushes factory job out of Western nations and into nations in the global South and East where labor is cheaper by comparison. So now the proletarization try to locate into this novel by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Then Ngugi wa Thiong'o interprets the class struggle in the novel along the Marxist line. The struggle is a result of the conduct of the power elite in their relationship with the lower classes. He regards the Kenyan power elite, the businessman, and intellectual and the traditional rulers, among others, as the accomplices that have failed the Kenyan masses because they are obsessed with the wealth and property and forget the plight of the ordinary people, thereby abandoning them to providence and charity. The mutilation of the land by both colonial and post-colonial oppressor is done through the aid of religion, culture, and education institutions which perpetuate mental slavery of the processed and protest the interest of the oppressor. The choice lands were shared only among the bourgeois and the expense of poor. Capitalism took over when colonization moved out of the sense. It was only a change of drivers and not a change of direction. So after the colonization is over and the power was among the native Kenyans, they tried to impose the capitalism and became the bourgeois and try to get hold on the peasant classes and the poor. The capitalists and their agents, Chui, Nazigo, and Dairy move into their development projects, roads, banks, factories, distilleries, and housing estates. These developments quickly destroyed the fabric of traditional Illinois. So, these characters in the novel are the representatives of the capitalist and bourgeois classes. Now, the Abdullah as the betrayed character and as the representatives of the rebellions or the ordinary citizens of Kenya, Abdullah, the introvert Maono fighter, was totally betrayed by the country he fought for. Independent Kenya failed to rehabilitate the one-legged fighter who sacrificed his family and land for the country. So he was a character who fought for the independence of the Kenya and lost his leg during the rebellion and was trying to have this independence at all cost and tried everything and sacrifices most of the part of his life. He represents the liberation battle for independence and social justice where justice veterans. However, he and those he represents unfortunately becomes outsiders in the very community for which they made such a great sacrifice. The force of power and dehumanization tramps on and betray him, leaving him physically traumatized, deeply frustrated, and financially impoverished. We can see this in his dialogues that when he was in his phase of rebellion and he was saying that no longer would I see the face of the white man laughing at our efforts and the Indian traders with his obscenities. He too would go. Factories, tea, and coffee estates would belong to us, Kenya people. And he later says that I waited for land reforms and retribution. I waited for a job. So he kind of feels like as a betrayed person, or feels the betrayal after the independence struggle that he was gone through, and now that his own people is in the power, he is not getting the result of what he was gone through. Vanja as a symbol. So here, the female protagonist of the novel, Vanja is also a powerful woman character in the novel. The revolutionary role of woman in this text can be seen firstly from Vanja, one of the major characters. She is presented as a liberated, unbiased, oppressed, and exploited woman. Her role in the entire novel is that of a facilitator. Her life as a prostitute allows her greater mobility in and out of the major events in the novel. So she becomes the center of the novel to explore the condition of the Kenya, and in a way, she is the representative of the whole country of Kenya. She symbolizes ruthless exploitation experienced by women of post-colonial Kenya, unemployed, sexually harassed, uneducated, landless, and cut off from the family. Vanja, the extraordinary struggling female character like Kenya itself, has the fight to stay alive and for whom destruction is never too far away. Being humiliated by the society and hostility of the world, she allows herself to turn cruel like the surroundings. She is she is oppressed and harassed by most of the character throughout the novel, and she lost her business of Thengeta drink, which she sells, and it gets capitalized, and then she turns to prostitution and try to get the livelihood from that. So she is more oppressed in the novel. Conclusion. In the conclusion, I would like to say that this novel, the petals of blood represents the innocence and uh, the country of Kenya, which is covered by the evil and is destroying its innocence itself. The flower thus becomes a symbol of the entire society, potentially healthy, beautiful, and productive, but its potential is unrealized and destroyed by the agents of corruption and death. So, in the title, The Petals of Blood, which is representing the Thangeta flower, but it is also representative of innocence and the country of Kenya itself. Petals of Blood reflects the exploitation of Africans by the fellow blacks. When Kenyans were fighting for independence, they all had one voice and one common enemy. But with the attainment of independence, the reality becomes that of a hand feeding on her laid eggs. The Kenyan nation today is being built on the capitalism imperialistic foundation rather than on her originally communalism. The majority of Kenyan peasants live in a state of poverty. The life of the urban poor is made worse by the appalling housing condition and poor urban services. So this way we can see the proletarianization of Kenyan masses, and they get goes under the capitalistic operation from their own people, which are now trying to be the bourgeois or the capitalistic classes and use the peasant masses to get their own benefit, while the most of the people goes under the poverty and suffer. This is my references. Now you can ask the question.
Kansham, how does Ngugi depict the relationship between proletarialization and the loss of cultural identity and heritage?
We can say that the cultural identity or heritage is connected with their own people and their unity. When they were fighting for the independence and Mau rebellion, they were organized and they had this brotherhood or cultural unity. But after the independence, they are facing that the power is imposing the capitalistic system on the nation, and they are westernizing the system and institution, and they are being more capitalized rather than they are following their cultural identity or cultural unity and their brotherhood. That's how I think Ngugi wa Thiong'o is depicting the relationship of proletarianization and loss of cultural identity.
Kansham, my question is that what parallels can be drawn between the proletarianization depicted in this particular novel and contemporary proletarianization in society?
So the parallels between the contemporary and the novel. So Ngugi wa Thiong'o is depicting the Kenyan society, and after the independence, how the capitalism gets hold onto the Kenyan society. If we try to see this proletarianization in the contemporary society, then we can say that through the globalization, the capitalization is reaching throughout the world, and the second world country is becoming the proletarians or the proletarian society, where the globalized nations and organization are in the power, and they are the one which are in the rule, and other the labor and laborers and vision classes are facing the consequences of the capitalistic systems. That way, I think this is related to contemporary society. Thank you.